Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Maya Juice, and I'm speaking to you from ACTU today. Today, we're going to be presenting a live webinar on how we can use assistive technology to support literacy. We're going to have three presenters from ACTU today. The first one will be Sharon Borch-Skembri, our occupational therapist, and she will be presenting to you about writing and the use of alternative pencils and accessibility features in the iPad, Windows and Android platforms. After Sharon, Martina Zarb, speech language therapist with ACTU, will be presenting to you about the challenges of writing. She'll also be talking to you about literacy tools, including text-to-speech tools and word prediction tools. After Martina, we're going to have Jamie Sides, another speech and language therapist with ACTU, and she'll be presenting to you about tools that can be used to support grammar and note-taking. We will have some time for questions at the end of the session, and you can just post questions and we will talk about them later. So I'm going to hand over to Sharon now, and she's going to start first.
Hello. So as May was explaining as well, so there is like here you have a bit of a screenshot. So if you want to ask a question, you post it in the bar, and if you want to ask anonymously, just select ask anonymously and your question will not display your name. We move towards the objective. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to talk about today, and May has already mentioned how we are going to present this presentation. But by the end of this presentation, you will gain a basic understanding of the complexity of the writing process. You gain an understanding of the common writing barriers encountered by learners with neurodevelopmental disabilities. So we're going to neurodevelopmental disabilities will encompass children have dyslexia, dyspraxia, dysgraphia, autism, ADHD. So it is quite a broad term. Gain knowledge also about assistive technology tools and accessibility features that can support access to writing for learners with neurodevelopmental disabilities, and gain knowledge about assistive technology tools that support the writing process for learners with neurodevelopmental disabilities. So I would like to say this is going to be an overview. The aim of this presentation webinar is to give you some tools that actually are available around us. Maybe we don't know about them. Maybe we know about some of them, but not about others. So that you would know that they are available and you can start using them with your students. So what is writing? So writing is a complex task that involves motor, so this is what we call handwriting, cognitive aspects, which is the creating and composing of written material, and language skills. Writing, text or print, is a way to convey a meaningful message. Writing, text or print is a code for speech and therefore a way to communicate. And this is really important, that the children during their developmental writing process, they should be able to start understanding through our help that text is there to convey a meaning, that it is a code for our speech. And writing supports children's early literacy development. So writing is more than handwriting. There should be another one, which is with regards to skills, which I'm not seeing, but I'm going to go through it. So what are the skills required to write? There are a lot of skills, and it requires the motor skills to manipulate the writing tool. There are also the physical formation of the letters, which is what we are calling handwriting, but there is also the function of print, that is the orthography, knowing the rules of writing. and then the meaning embedded in what we write, which is called composition. And as we can see, it is a very complex task, and therefore viewing it from a holistic view, we can recognize that writing is multifaceted and requires the integration of various skills. So writing is beyond the strict focus of letter formation and mechanics of writing. The focus, therefore, should be on writing as a means to communicate, to demonstrate what we learned, and to document our experiences. And this is really important, especially for those learners who struggle with producing handwriting. I've been in schools and I have observed children even at secondary level who were still practicing on the letter formation of handwriting, and they were copying texts that I could see that they are not meaningful for them. For example, copying text from religion pieces, and the religion is real because we know that child had difficulty with abstract and with more complex text. So it was clear that the child is not understanding that content of the religion. Could be another content as well, and they were copying it. So the child was just doing this just to practice the act of the motor aspect of writing. But without meaning, writing is boring, and it also can be frustrating to that person, and this can lead to that person getting tired of writing, or getting doesn't like writing and also refuses writing. So we can see that writing has the input method, so it is how we are going to produce the writing. So it could be handwriting, but if handwriting is a problem, what can we use? And this is what we're going to look at. Then there is going to be the organization, and we know that some children have difficulties with organizing their thoughts into writing. And so how assistive technology can help with organization. And then composition. How can the child be efficient in composing and producing creative writing or anything else? So why we foster writing? Writing is required in almost all daily occupations. And this is why writing is important, because we write messages to each other, we write messages in birthday cards, we write things to plan home budgeting or meal preparation, maybe doing the grocery list, or even writing to-do lists. So this is what we call functional literacy. So it is needed to navigate the world, even to go from one place to the other. It opens the opportunities for learning and access to information. It enables control on the choice and sharing of information. So I can choose what I learn, and I can also choose to share certain information. It enables also social participation. As we can say, today we are using social media. We have, even in this time of this crisis of the COVID-19, being even digital literate was very important, because to communicate, okay, we could have done the video conferencing, but we were also sending a lot of messages even on Facebook, etc. So it will, having an access to writing, it will give more opportunities for that person to even participate in the social community. And also it enables academic participation. So here we can see that we have how to foster writing. We can accept all forms of writing, and this is important, that the forms of writing could be with handwriting, with use of a pencil, or with use of a keyboard, or with the use of other means, could be even sticking labels. So we accept all forms of writing. We have encouraged students to write about favorite topics and for real reason. And model writing using the learner's preferred writing tool. And also to provide a variety of writing tools, including technology. And this is what we're going to talk about in the coming slides. So why we use technology for writing? It engages the learners when other methods fail or not applicable. It gives the learner access to writing and knowledge. It fosters development in motor and social, cognitive and communication skills, because even if they are using an alternative pencil, like we're going to see, they are using their motor skills to access the computer in different ways. But it also helps them to to develop their cognitive skills and even communication through writing messages. It generates the potential of immediate feedback and self-correction, and overcome and compensate for motor difficulties. It gives a sense of success as it allows the learner to be in control, and that increases motivation and attention. So, before we continue, let's look into what is assistive technology. So assistive technology is defined as any piece of equipment, item, and strategy. So it is important to know that the strategies are also like the services that we use, and also other techniques that are maybe therapeutic techniques, but also certain other accommodations. So it's not about only the tool. So the assistive technology is not maybe the tool, the equipment, the hardware, the software only, but even the techniques and the strategies that need to be used. And these are sometimes even modified or customized, and these can help solve problems faced by people with disabilities in everyday life, education, pre-vocational, or social situations. So we have the OT continuum, and the OT continuum is low-tech. So this is like even pencil grips are part of assistive technology. It could be an inclined board that will help to put the paper in an inclined position that will facilitate the writing and the posture, the hand posture as well. Mid-tech, there we have a kind of it's a pen scribe, and basically mid-techs are battery operated. And then obviously you have the high-tech, which are laptops, etc. So, and then we're going to talk also about accessibility features. And accessibility features are tools built into the operating systems of computing devices and applications designed to assist non-standard users. So these are part of the mainstream technology, but they are there so that to make that software, that hardware, accessible for all people and all users. They are a set of core assistive technologies usually grouped under the following headings: physical access, sensory, and cognition. And we're going to look also and emphasize on the feature matching. And when we are looking at the use of AT as a consideration process, it means it does not start with presenting a list of tools to the learner without considering the learner's need and strengths and the activities that they are finding difficulty. So the consideration process starts with a focus on the learner. So it is very client-centered. We look at the learner's needs and preferences, and these are meshed with the tools that exist on the market. Sometimes bespoke solutions are also required. So the message that I would like to emphasize here is always to start with the learner needs and then identify which of these tools are going to talk about today. That will meet the needs of particular learner. Now, if there are significant motor and language challenges that are presenting in an individual that you support, I advise you to discuss these with the occupational therapist, their occupational therapist, and their speech language therapist, so that they can guide you accordingly. These professionals know when they need to refer to a more specialist team like ACTU. And obviously, because for learners with more physical challenges and with more complex communication needs, they would need more complex solutions. So let's start with the areas of needs that are motor challenges. So we have motor challenges can impact writing in a variety of ways. When talking about writing, postural control is the ability to maintain body position in order to interact with the paper and pencil or a keyboard or an alternative text input device. This is combined then with motor control, which is the ability to target specific keys on a keyboard or control the markings of a pencil. Both postural and motor control are important factors in the writing process. Motor memory is the ability of a person to recall where the keys are, and a strong motor memory can help a person learn how to touch type, for example, remember the position of the letters, and other characters on the keyboard. By practice, this becomes an automatic process. Motor planning is also the ability to identify the steps of motor act and complete them from beginning to end. So an example would be a simple example about writing or printing your name on a worksheet. So there is the space. So first you need to identify the space where you're going to write your name on the worksheet. Then you need to position the paper to be able to interact with the paper or write it in the identified space. If it is on a laptop, you need to position the paper or scroll it up so that you'll find the space. And then you have the motor task to form the letters on the page with proper spacing and location, and the ability to recall the sequence of your own name to be able to print them in the correct order. Thus, you ensure legibility. So we can see that even the handwriting in itself, it is complex to produce certain letter formations and sequencing of the letters. But then the letter formation, the handwriting aspect, together with the other components that we mentioned, it makes writing more complex. And then there are also sensory motor processing that may also affect writing illegibility, attention, and focus. For example, if we have someone with dyspraxia, which is also it's a motor planning disorder, which affects both fine motor and gross motor development, and this present in many of it's may present together with neurodevelopmental disorders. Dyspraxia can present in many different ways, but it includes impairments related to motor movement, judgment, processing, and other cognitive skills. Then we have letter formation, the handwriting difficulties. So we have the letter formation, size, alignment, space, and legibility. So referring to the name writing task described previously, we can understand and appreciate that the act of handwriting involves quite a number of motor tasks, and these include the ability to form letters and write those letters in an appropriate size to fit the paper and writing space. Another task is alignment, so that the letters appear grouped in a way to indicate that it is a word appearing on the same line and with spacing to indicate breaks between words. And all of this is important to enable legibility. Now, what are certain alternative pencils that address motor challenges? And here I've put some of the low-tech stuff. So low-tech and mid-tech stuff. So basically we can use stencils, magnetic letters. We can use also stamps, or we can use also pieces of paper with words on them, so that person can build up sentences, etc. On the right hand side, you can see a labeler. This is something that we can use, a shopkeeper can use it to label certain items or in the home. But actually, this is a good way of using it to produce words. Maybe someone is more interested in typing the words through this, and then the labels emerge and they can be stuck on a paper. And so these are some simple and low-tech methods that someone can use. But then if we go high-tech, we have the touch monitors. Now, touch monitors are available everywhere now. We have our mobiles, tablets, and even some of the laptops are also touch accessible. So with the touch screen, it makes it easier for a person to access an on-screen keyboard or other applications that can be accessed via touchscreen. So we can look also at the accessibility features of touchscreens. Obviously, there are different accessibility features between Android and iOS. Obviously, this has to be, you have to access it through the settings. So with regards to Android, there is, so we have the assistive touch for the iOS, and this allows one to touch point access to hardware buttons. So for example, the home button or other buttons that are not easy to access, they can be translated on an icon on the screen so that they can be easily accessible. Some other touch accommodations allows you to change the way your device screen responds to touch. So you can change certain sensitivities. And this is very useful for those users that have problems with coordination, maybe even some tremor. Then on the Android, we have also the touch and hold delay, which it lets users set the recognition time for tapping and holding. So if someone maybe doesn't move their hands fast, they can put these settings in place so that the touchscreen will not take a lot of input, but it will realize that that input is isolated and not repeatedly. So this will not create, for example, on a keyboard, doesn't repetitive input of a particular letter because the person kept on touching it. And then we have alternative pencil as keyboards, hardware keyboards. So we have the laptop, the keyboard of the laptop, which is available, or another keyboard, which can be attached with a desktop computer or a laptop as well. And we can also, at the top level, we can see colored keyboards, one with yellow over a black background, which is a high contrast keyboard. And this is good for people who need more attention to it or have some visual impairment, and the yellow keys will help them to access it. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, there are keyboards with colored keys, which actually the colors correspond to consonants. So consonants are, for example, blue, and vowels are green, etc. And some of them also reduces the amount of keys, so they only have the letters only visible. So there would be other extra keys, so that this will have will enable concentration and focus. So the keyboard is one method of alternative pencil. So when handwriting issues are present, so by giving the keyboard, this will help the person to access any documents or even produce recording their knowledge. Then there is also on-screen keyboards, and there are a variety of on-screen keyboards. In the middle, I've put a screenshot of a SwiftKey keyboard, which is you can download it easily. It is a free app. It can be downloaded on Android and on iOS, and it has, as you can see, word prediction. It also, you can set the language to Maltese, so you can have it predicting in Maltese. It may take some time to predict accurately in Maltese, but I use it all the time, and it sufficiently predicts the way I talk in Maltese, and it is good to access, for example, emails, the social media, etc. And this, when I recommended this kind of keyboard, especially for someone with dyslexia, this has opened access to social media because it gave them more opportunities, because they could also, through the word prediction, help with putting sentence construction. Then on the left-hand side, there is Keeble, which is an on-screen keyboard from Assistiveware, and basically Keeble is an on-screen keyboard, an accessible keyboard designed for iOS applications only, and it is designed to make it easier and faster for people with physical and vision impairment. In fact, you can change the layout and make it put contrast according to the needs of that particular client. And it also has features to support children with dyslexia. It also, as you can see, has predictive text. On the right-hand side, there is KiwiGo Plus, which is a more simpler. It is from Assistiveware as well. It is for iOS as well, and so it's not available on Android. And it's a simple keyboard. This is good for those writers who are starting, those emergent writers, emergent readers, and it is the same concept of having the vowels in a color, it's red and the others in black, and it gives also prediction text. So this helps really those children who are just starting to write. You can change the accessibility features of using a keyboard from your settings. For example, on a Windows platform, if you go into the Windows settings, even through the ease of accessibility, you can use either sticky keys, which it means it generates combination of key presses by pressing the keys one at a time. This is useful if you need to press, for example, Ctrl Alt Delete together, or for example, other combination of keys. And with sticky keys, it allows you to press them one at a time. Then you have the filter keys. And these filter keys on Windows and slow keys on a Mac. These will help to prevent many keyboard errors by adjusting the rate of keys repeat when held down and ignoring rapid repeated key presses of the same key. And then you have also the mouse keys, which lets you control the pointer using the keys on the numeric keyboard rather than the mouse. So maybe someone would be easier for him to use those keys. I put this slide about touch typing programs. Some clients and even educators and professionals, other professions, always tell us to give them kind of like free programs, online free programs for touch typing. These are BBC Dance Met Typing. You can see the first picture. It is available on BBC and it's a free touch typing program. It is very good for children because it's very interactive. Then there is Power Typing, which is the second photo, and the third Typing Club. Typing Club is also good for secondary level students. Then other methods of accessing writing is through the use of mouse. So through the mouse, you can use either to access the software, a literacy-based software, which Martina and Jamie will be talking about, but also you can use them to access an on-screen keyboard. So an on-screen keyboard can be accessed via a touchscreen or via the use of a mouse. So there are a lot of different mice on the market. These can be ranged from trackballs, joysticks, and even ergonomic kind of mice. There is also other alternative mice which are a bit more complex, more sophisticated, and these are more recommended for children with more physical disabilities. In fact, I'm putting them here so that you would be aware of it. And also, if you have a student who uses this kind of alternative method, you would understand that even if they use this alternative method, this is there to access writing as well. Sometimes we use it to access both communication and writing. And so we have the head access, which are actually kind of trackers, head trackers. You have a device attached to the computer and it will translate your head movements into the mouse movements. Then we have eye tracking and also mouth access. So you have the Integra mouse and the lipstick mouse, which are mice that are accessed via the mouth. Obviously, for this kind of mice, more complex assessment is required, but we have clients that use eye tracking, and it is basically it's good for them that they still use it and they manage to even write through the use of eye tracking or another method of access. So In terms of mice, in both Windows and Mac OS settings, you can change the speed of the mouse. You can also change the buttons. So if you the left button is changed into the right button, especially for those who are left-handed, or maybe they don't have the required movement to access a left button. So you can change those. You can change the double-click speed as well. You can change the sensitivity of the pointer speed. You can change also the size of the cursor that is moved by the mouse. And in Mac and OS, you can change the dwell time. That is the time that will allow acceptance of when you click something. It means, so if, for example, you make it an acceptance time of 2 seconds, so that if you go and click on something else, it will not click on, it will not open, because it will allow you that time. The trackpad also can be used for access to touchscreens, to on-screen keyboards, and also to other software. Then we have the speech recognition for text production. Speech recognition is there available within Microsoft 365. We have dictation, and even within the Windows. Today, speech recognition is becoming to be mainstream, and it helps children to use speech to text in order to dictate their text or their ideas, their sentences. And this is very helpful for those children who have difficulty to put their thoughts into paper. Or for those children who, even if they are using keyboard, they are still not, they don't have the speed, they are not very efficient still, and they don't have the speed to produce the amount of text in a particular time. So maybe dictation, sometimes even dictation coupled with keyboarding, it helps them to be more efficient. So you can see also that even in Google Docs, so if you go even in the Chrome, you can see a kind of a microphone at the side, and that will help with recording. Now, there are voice recognition software which are they are not free. So what I was speaking about is free, is available, but these voice recognition software have to be purchased. So we have the SpeakQ, and the SpeakQ is interesting because it helps the person when training a software. So voice recognition software, some of them requires training so that it will identify your voice and the way you speak. And most of the speech recognition software will tell you to read some text. This is even for the Windows voice recognition. So during the trial part, during the calibration aspect of it, you will be asked to read certain text that is produced on the screen. SpeakQ will do this by the computer reading it to you. So the person who is not able to read will manage to also use a voice recognition, because through the headphones, they are hearing through a public voice the text that is being displayed on the screen, and then they can repeat it so that then obviously through the microphone, the computer will identify the way they speak. So SpeakQ is really good for those children that have problems with reading, but they benefit from a voice recognition software. It's also, and it is very good also with identifying certain speech that is a bit slurred or not accurate enough. Dragon is one of the main voice recognition software. In terms of drawback is that it doesn't give that public voice that will read you the text. that you have to read. You have to know how to read. But it is very good to identify also slurred speech, especially the latest versions. Read and Write is another software which is also has prediction in it, but it also has voice recognition available on it as well as the last version. So let's try like in terms of dictation example, let's see if I can manage to do this and to show you. So I will share in a minute my screen. So do you still hear me? May, can you check that you can hear me, please? Okay, so I'm going to now I should be sharing a Word document. So you should be seeing a Word document. Okay, until it uploads. And I can now, as you can see on the screen, there is the dictate function here. And when I press it, I can start speaking. Full stop. Hello? This is how dictation works in Microsoft Word. And you can see how accurate this is. Actually, it is really improved, and it is there. It is available in the PowerPoint, in Word, and in OneNote. So it is worth try it out. So I will change now to the presentation. So now you should see the presentation again. And on the screen now I have how to set accessibility features on Windows. So probably you didn't manage to hear me when I did the dictation, but you can see that when it's typed actually what I said accurately through the microphone. With regards to accessibility features, how do you find them? So here I've put a screen of the desktop. You type control panel or even ease of access. So I have it here. So if you you type control panel in the search button, this window will appear and you click ease of access. And from there you can have a look. You can change your settings of the keyboard, of the mouse, but also you can switch on voice recognition from there for Windows. For the Microsoft 365
as I showed you, there is this microphone button that you can switch. So there are other alternative pencils, which are switches. And for those children with significant physical disability, we use a variety of switches. Obviously, this requires a more thorough assessment, and that is the person that would come to us for an assessment to find which best switches to use and which body part is going to be utilized to access that switch. But I put it here to show you, yes, even with switches, children, we can give access to writing. Then there is some other apps that I would like to talk about, which can support access to writing on the iOS, on the iPad, which is one SnapType Pro, and which SnapType Pro is also available on Android. And this is an interesting application because it will allow you to transform your worksheets into soft copies, and the person can then use the on-screen keyboard or any other keyboard attached to the tablet to type on the worksheet. So, for example, the teacher has given a worksheet to all the class, but it was not produced as a soft copy. The student or the LSC helping the student take the photo of the worksheet that is uploaded in the app, and then the person can type directly on the worksheet. Similarly, we can do it with Adobe Fill and Sign Form Filler, so even to fill in forms, even to annotate. This is another interesting application that Adobe Fill and Sign is free application. SnapType Pro is a paid application, but there is a light version that you can download and try it out. So I think this is from my end. Now I will pass the floor to Martina, which will be talking about composition.
Thank you, Sharon, for that very interesting overview. For the second part of this presentation, I'm going to be talking about the challenges of writing. So specifically challenges that students might experience when they are writing and during the composition of writing. So over here, we're going to be talking about the actual planning of writing and the generating of ideas and the actual writing task when students are putting their thoughts on paper. So when we talk about planning, students are making use of the executive functioning skills. And executive functioning skills, as I said, are related to planning and the utilization of working memory. So the ability to switch from one thought to another. We have some students who experience difficulties in their executive functioning, and we might have noticed that this impacts the students' ability to stop and control their behavior at a particular time to be able to focus on that particular writing task. So these challenges may affect the student's ability to plan components of the essay, or also just to simply organize their thoughts on paper. It might also appear that students who have difficulties in executive functioning may not be seeing the big picture, and thus may come across as though they might not know how to answer the questions, or might even struggle with providing a summary. You might have worked with some students and observed that students, apart from executive functioning difficulties, might also struggle from sensory challenges. So you might have observed when working with students or when working with your children that they might experience or might not like the feel that the pencil has on their fingertips, or might be bothered with the friction that this makes on paper. They might not like the texture of the eraser shavings, and they might also struggle with the sound that the keys make when the keyboard is being used. Okay, so these are things that we might need to take into consideration when working with our children. Such sensory challenges might obviously distract the students and thus lose their trail of thought, which leads to them forgetting that the thoughts they had and thus find difficulty to putting this on paper. Also, we might have, it's also noteworthy to say that children with autism might have specific interests and thus might only be interested in writing about topics that interest them only, and thus obviously struggle with writing about other topics. So this might be a challenge for them. When it comes to language skills, the development of language skills plays a very important factor in the writing process, as well as we know, skilled writing makes use of a variety of vocab, complex syntax, and also good sentence structure. In fact, as a skill, writing is a more demanding task than reading itself. This is because writing involves the actual production of the vocabulary, it involves the production of the sentences, rather than reading, which would only involve the understanding of the language, okay? So in writing, we're actually providing the words and the sentences, as opposed to reading, where the student is required to just understand the words that is presented to him. Having said this, obviously, we all know that vocabulary develops through reading. So reading as a skill is also important, and it plays an important part in the process of writing. So children who are exposed to limited reading can have an effect on the development of language and vocabulary. So as we're going to be seeing, the tools that support reading are also the tools that will indirectly support writing. And we'll be looking at some tools that support reading later on in this presentation. So now I'm going to be talking about tools that support reading, okay? And we're going to be having a look at text-to-speech tools, word prediction tools, proofreading, mind mapping, and dictation tools, which Sharon also made reference to earlier. So now let's have a look at some text-to-speech tools. And over here we have some examples of tools which help with this. And here we're going to be having a look, an in-depth look at the Immersive Reader, Read and Write software, ClaraRead, Chrome extension. Okay, so let's have a closer look at the Immersive Reader. This is a free software and it's available on Microsoft 365 apps, okay? It's free, so it's available for all of you to use. This learning tool supports anyone with reading difficulties, and it also has several options to make it easier for the learner to read text. So, for example, it can have paragraphs read out loud to you, and also allows you to change the text size, so make it as big or as small as the student requires. It provides the option to reduce crowding between letters, and you can change the font. Okay, you can also change the background and make it according to the student's needs. So you might want to change the background of the text to yellow or to light blue, because you might think that this helps the child focus and helps their attention better. Okay, so you can customize text according to the preferences of the child. As a software, this is designed for students with dyslexia, but also helps with writing as it focuses on reading. And as we said before, reading helps development of vocabulary, which will then help in writing. I'd also like to mention that this app is available in Maltese, and you can use the translate tool to write in Maltese. But I'll be showing you a video of how the Immersive Reader works, so that you can have a better idea on where you can find this and how you can use it. Let's have a look at the video. I'm not sure if
Immersive Reader is a free app in Microsoft 365, and it is available in Word, OneNote, Outlook, Office. Immersive Reader is a free app in Microsoft 365, and it is available in Word, OneNote, Outlook, Office Lens, Microsoft Teams, Forms, Flipgrid, and Minecraft Education Edition. It is also available on the OneNote desktop application. So the Immersive Reader was designed for children with dyslexia to help them access reading. But it has some features which helps children with dyslexia, but also other children who have reading difficulties. So as you can see, I'm signed in my Microsoft 365. I'm going to upload a Word document. And here I have this text, a simple text. So to access the Immersive Reader, you would go to View, and then there is the Immersive Reader in View. So when I press the Immersive Reader, there's a transformation of the screen, and as you can see, I have the text only, and the other aspects of the text are switched off, and this will help for attention. It will help the child also to focus on the words that needs to be read. As you can see, there are some colors. I'm going to switch that off and we'll come back to it later on. So here I have the play button, and when I'm going to play it, you're going to see the highlighting and then the reading.
Out in the country, way up on the top of a hill and back in the forest, there was a house.
So you can see the highlighting, which will move with the reading, and this will help the person to follow and also to maintain focus. There are some other features that you can change, which are with regards to sound. So you can change the speed of the sound, you make it fast or you make it slow. And you also can change the voice from a female to a male voice. I'm using a female voice. There are some text preferences as well, so you can increase the text. So this is also good for children with some visual impairments. You can also increase spacing like I have here, or you just leave the normal spacing. But I feel that sometimes by increasing the spaces, it will help to organize the text and it's easier to read. And you can also choose the font and also the theme. So I have a green theme here, but I can use a white theme, or I can use a yellow theme and another theme. And this can be useful for those children who are using colored layouts on their text to help them read, those children with Ireland syndrome or similar difficulties. So you can also go to the reading preferences, where you can choose the line focus, and this is good to really screen out the other text for those children who really have a difficulty to read when there's a lot of text, and this will help them to focus a bit more. So when I press play,
frogs, toads, and even some people. One of the dogs.
It will then move to the next line. I can also, I have the picture dictionary on. This is using board maker pictures. And basically, if I go dogs, I can see, if I click on it, I can see the dogs here and with the voice, and I can listen to it.
Dogs.
And I have the picture, which will help me to understand better what is a dog or another word. I can also press on translation. I'm going to choose Maltese as translation, and I'm going to choose by word. So now when I go to dog and I press it again, now it's giving me, should give me the translation in Maltese, but this is not very accurate here, but let's try another one. So let's see rabbits. Here it is giving me a better translation, which is Fnick in Maltese. You can also choose to do it by document, and that's really relatively, it will give a relatively good translation in Maltese. So if I read in Maltese here, I can say barra fil-pajjiż il-fuq min għoljiet u lura fil-foresta kien hemm dar. So it's quite understandable. Obviously, it will be a bit more difficult when you are using more complex text. So that is a bit of information about the immersive reader. Also, I wanted to mention that this translation to other languages, so there is a lot of languages here, it will help those children with having difficulties and who are foreign and have difficulties to understand English and Maltese. So this is a way to help them also access the reading material in the language, in English, or to translate it into their language. So for more information, you can go on the Microsoft Education Center or even search on YouTube for videos on Immersive Reader.
Okay, so I think that was a very interesting video. It gives a comprehensive explanation on the lots of tools that we can use and the variety of options which we can use to adapt text for our students to make it better for their learning and to better support their literacy. So let's move on to some tools which we can use for word prediction and word banks. And over here, I'm going to be talking about the following software. So we're going to be having a look at Clicker 7 and Clicker 8. We're going to have a look at Word Q5, the Read and Write, and the Pen Friend software. So let's start off by talking about the Clicker software. So there are Clicker 7 versions, and recently there has also been Clicker 8, which has been recently introduced. But basically, both softwares are literacy tools which provide pictures, which can provide pictures to support text, can also include words and phrase banks. They provide speech feedback. So when the student obviously types the text, they will have an auditory feedback of what they have just written, and also can have picture and word prediction, which will continue to support the understanding of that particular word. As a software, this is also available in Maltese, so you can type in Maltese. However, there is no voice output in Maltese currently. We are currently working on a project with the University of Malta, which hopefully will have provide voice output for Maltese. But currently, you can use the recording option and record in Maltese and just input this recording into your text and your document. I encourage you to stay tuned for future ACT webinars, as we will be collaborating with Clicker, and we will be providing more specific training on this software particularly. And the training days for such softwares are the 1st July, where we'll be having an overview on Clicker 7, and the 3rd July, where we'll be giving an overview on Clicker 8. So I encourage you to join us during these webinars as well. So moving on to word banks now. As you can see in the pictures provided, word banks are word lists of vocabulary. The vocabulary list can include words or phrases, and these support students with their writing. The list can be subject related or more general, but they provide a visual support and are visual teaching resources which will continue to help students to familiarize themselves with specific groups of words. You can also create word banks in Clicker. Okay, the software I've shown before. So some students might find this very, very helpful. We now will be talking about the Word Q5. This is a voice recognition software which Sharon has made reference to earlier, but also supports users of all ages by providing word prediction, okay, and can also provide speech feedback and proofreading options. Can also provide speech recognition when integrated with the Speak queue. Similarly, the Pen Friend software is a computer software with lots of simple and easy to use features, and again provides word prediction, speech output, and you can also make use of an on-screen keyboard. The last software I wanted to speak to you about is the Read and Write. Again, Sharon made reference to this earlier, but apart from a voice recognition software, it is also a literacy software, which is more useful with secondary level students over here, so older students, and this also includes a speech to text to assist with typing. However, the software requires some training, okay? So it's important to train on the software before, so as to ensure that you'll have successful recognition and successful use. Okay, so training of this software is important over here. So that's it from my end, and I will now be passing this on to Jamie, so she can give us an overview of more tools on grammar and how these can support literacy.
Okay, so thank you, Martina. I'm going to be sharing the presentation from my end. Okay, so as Martina said, we've moved on to the final section of this webinar. I will be tackling tools which have to do which are related to grammar and to spelling, and later on we'll also be talking about tools which you can use for just basic note taking. The first one I'm going to talk about is Grammarly. And I think whoever watches YouTube is very well familiar with Grammarly because of the constant ads that show before we watch a video on YouTube. So I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this. So Grammarly can be used on web, Windows, Mac, Microsoft Office, but unfortunately it cannot be used on the phone yet. It is a very good tool that is great for correcting grammar, spelling, and punctuation. And it has a very nice feature, which is the integrated dictionary and thesaurus tool. Just like most other programs, it offers the free version, but it also offers the premium version, which with the premium obviously you get other features like the plagiarism checker, the vocabulary enhancement, the professional proofreader, and the genre checking. It's a very good tool because it offers real-time checking, so you could the user as the user is typing, it will show you the errors made there and then, so you don't have to finish the whole document and then select the check spelling and grammar tool. It will show you there and then that it's whatever it is correcting. So the real-time checking feature is very useful. It is highly accurate, especially when it comes to grammar, although I find that sometimes, for instance, it tends to put in, for example, an extra comma where you don't need it, but obviously it asks you first before you make any changes. It provides very easy to understand explanations. So, for example, when Grammarly suggests any changes, it gives you an explanation as to why he is suggesting that particular change. A very good feature about this is that it actually helps the user become a better writer, because you are not just changing it, but you are learning about why you made that error. It's very customizable as well. So even if you are using the free version, actually, so you could select the language preference, for instance. You could turn it off. You could choose to turn it off in certain websites. It adds new words to the dictionary. This feature is very good for names, for instance. and for words which are basically not real words. And needless to say, it is very, very, very easy to use. You just install a plugin or a browser extension, and you're good to go. It will underline the correct words, just like the spell check actually in Microsoft Word, and it shows you the suggestion and why. If you just simply hover over the word. Sharing.
Jamie, could you please?
Yes, I just realized I'm not sharing.
Yeah, mode.
Is it sharing now?
It's sharing. Can you put it on full screen mode?
It is on full screen mode.
Okay, it's not showing that way.
Okay.
So we have the little slides on the side.
Okay, let me see if let me see if this works actually. So share. This might work. Okay, so slideshow. Is it showing now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. All right. So I was talking about the good things about Grammarly, but maybe one maybe slightly something that you might be well aware of about Grammarly is that I believe it's still not available on everything. For instance, I think on Google Docs it's currently undergoing beta testing, so that is still in the pipeline. And also the free version is obviously quite limited, as I said before. So if you need more advanced features, I'm afraid you'd have to pay the premium for the premium version. So the next one is Accessibility Checker, and this is another very easy and useful tool that you could use. It is available on Windows, on Office 365, and on Mac. This is a very good tool which finds accessibility issues through this report that is generated by Word itself. This offers the reason as to why he is proposing these changes, and also offers the solutions. So just to give you an idea, you could use this feature in Office 365 by clicking the Check Accessibility button on the Review tab. But for older versions of Word, like what I have, for instance, or for Excel and PowerPoint, you would have to click File, Info, and then click the Check for Issues button. So just for you to be aware. So as I said, it generates kind of like a report. For instance, I remember when I was testing it out, I had a particular document, and when I checked it for accessibility, one thing that was pointed out is that the heading was actually too long. So it gives me the reasons why this is not recommended. Obviously, because it makes it easier for people with disabilities to understand a document when the text is much shorter and concise. And it gives you suggestions how you can change it. Maybe, for example, change the structure of the document, obviously produce a shorter phrase, etc., etc. So that was Accessibility Checker. The next one is Rewordify, actually. So Rewordify basically simplifies the English you're reading. So you just literally log on to rewordify.com. You enter as soon as you enter the website, you will find a box. You can literally just copy and paste the text that you would like to simplify in this box, and it gives you a more simplified version of this text. So you can change the difficulty level and the highlighting style, because it offers highlighting styles. And it's a very good tool to teach basically difficult words. So I guess you can say in essence it's kind of like a dictionary, but without obviously having to use a book or having to search for an actual word. So in that respect, it is very useful to have. So as you can see here on the image on your left, so it's we have an example of a text which maybe for some might be a bit difficult to understand, and then through Rewordify it basically puts a very basic version for you with the use of Rewordify. So that was Rewordify, as I said. The next one is mind mapping. I'm sure you are very well familiar with mind mapping, which is basically it's a diagram used to visually organize information. It is hierarchical, obviously, and it shows the relationship among pieces of the whole picture. And it's a great tool for outlining ideas. For instance, I don't know, I remember I used to use something like this way back in secondary, when, for example, I used to compose like an essay of some sort. I used to find it very useful. Nowadays, obviously, this mind mapping technique is available online. So through softwares like the Inspiration software, this is available on the App Store. But I believe it's not free. But it's not that expensive either. There's also Mind Manager, which also offers mind mapping, and it is very much the same concept. Mind Manager is owned by obviously MindJet, and also offers very good tools to create mind maps. You could also find some free downloadable softwares, which are XMind, FreeMind, and MindMap. So these are free for anyone to use, actually. All right, so that was mind mapping. Okay, so I spoke about a number of tools which are very great, for example, which to support grammar. The next few tools I'll be talking about basically are just very good for note taking. The first one is the Live Scribe pen. This is a very cool and unique tool, actually. It is basically just a pen which offers audio recording. So you can scan it with a special paper, and it's could also give you tells you what it is being written on the paper, basically. One should always ask for recording permission. The next one is audio note taker. This is by Sonocent. If you Google it, you will find it. It's from Sonocent. It is available for Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android. So you could also download it on your tablet. It offers a free trial, which is something that's very good about this. But then you can choose between a 1-year subscription or a lifetime subscription. It allows for basically just scribbling, adding slides, highlighting, and you could also save audio notes. So for instance, if you are listening to someone speak, and they're saying something very interesting, and you want to take note of that, you could just audio record it, and then you could save it into your note taker. OneNote, and the OneNote is owned by Microsoft, obviously. It is very good. It is basically literally just a digital notebook. It is very good to organize notes. Also offers highlighting, drawing thoughts with a stylus or even with your finger. You can insert videos which you have taken. And then once you have, for example, compiled some notes, you could share them with someone else. So it's also very good for subjects like maths, for instance, because as I said, you could literally just draw with your finger or with a stylus on it. And it's, as I said, accessible across devices and can be used collaboratively. So OneNote. Okay, so this is Evernote is the next one I'm going to be talking about. It is very similar to the OneNote, but we find that it is less structured and has slightly less features. It is better, but this is better at syncing across different platforms, and also offers web clipping. There's the freemium application, which I got to know the word is a combination of free and premium, and it is also subscription based. So that was the Evernote. This is also a very good, useful tool, because I myself use PDF a lot. This is PDF Annotator. It is downloadable through just pdfannotator.com. You just literally log on to their website and you can just download it. And it is also available as an app on iOS and on Android. Basically all it does is allows you to make notes and annotations of a PDF document. So it's literally like you have a textbook in front of you and you're adding notes in pencil, for instance. Then you can save your annotations on the file, which is brilliant. And obviously, if you want to obtain the original version, then you can. There's the option of reverting back to the original version. And as I said, it is available. The options available for Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android are there. So basically, it's available across a number of platforms. All right. Okay. So that was rather quick. We've hopefully we managed to give a very good overview of the tools available, and that could help in assisting when it comes to writing. Basically, we wanted to finish on a take-home message. So if you haven't managed to grab anything from this webinar, at least you can just grab this take-home message with you, which is that writing, as you probably have learned now, is a very complex activity for anyone, and this is even more difficult for children with disabilities, as you probably can imagine. Children with disabilities need time to grasp and to grasp the use of the writing tool and the writing process. So this is something very, very, very important to keep in mind. It might already be a challenging task for typically developing children who are learning to write, but think about how it is even more challenging, and they need even more time when it comes to children with disabilities. With that being said, we therefore need to be very flexible, and we always speak about the use of a team approach, which is very, very important in this case.
We've included some links to resources here, which is Microsoft Education Software. You have the link there down below, and also the link to the Spectronics website. The very last slide, we would like to finish on this very good quote by IBM, found in the IBM training manual, and it is for people without disabilities, technology makes things easier. For people with disabilities, technology makes things possible. So I think that's a very, very powerful quote, and a very good quote to keep in mind when it comes to disability and technology. So we thank you for your attention. If you have any queries, as my colleagues have mentioned before, you could always use the Q&A function to ask us some questions. We will now be answering some of your questions, but if after this webinar you happen to think of other questions, you could contact us at actu.support@gov.mt, and we're also reachable through our telephone, which is 21653938. So that's it from my end. I think we could move on to answering some of the questions. May, you're muted.
Okay, thank you all very much for listening to this webinar. Thank you, Jamie, Martina and Sharon. I think that was very informative. We do have a few questions, and the first question, I think Sharon's going to answer it. It was about keyboards and whether they can be modified to somebody's specific needs, or are they ready-made? And Martina, Sharon, while you're answering that question, I think it would be useful if you just talked a little bit about how schools can offer these keyboards to the children who are there. Okay.
Okay. So with the first question, and with regards to, so the keyboards I mentioned, they are available, readily available. So sometimes even stores in Malta, local computer stores, sometimes they had available the keyboards that I showed earlier with less keys, kind of like only showing the letters, and those that are colored. But they are not always available. When I check from time to time, not always they are available. So we tend to use these keyboards obviously for those who have difficulties with managing smaller keys, so they need a bigger key. That key is one inch kind of. So the others are available from in other stores that are offer assistive technology, even online as well. You may always contact us for more information about suppliers that will offer such keyboards. But with regards to bespoke kind of, I think that would require obviously a more thorough assessment, understanding the needs, the physical needs of that particular person, and also the function, the activity that they would like to participate in terms of writing. So is it functional aspects of writing, or is it academic aspects of writing? So then obviously we will manage to find a good solution for that person. Obviously that will meet their needs. So in that case, if the person who asked this question would like to get more information, please contact us on the telephone number. We will show it later again, and our email as well. Now, with regards to, yes, if keyboards are offered to school, the education department, most of the time when especially we do some recommendation, they will procure these keyboards. Sometimes even schools themselves have procured these kinds of keyboards according to the needs of the children. So they might, like I've been in schools that they have some of these kinds of keyboards available that they can present to the children that they need it. So it varies, I think, from government to church school to independent school. So there is a variety over that on how these are procured. Sometimes the parents get them and they will sending them with the children. So it could be a laptop and they will be sending it with the student from home to school, and even the keyboard. Sometimes they leave it at school to be used at school. I hope that answered the questions.
Sharon, there is also another question which I think you might feel best positioned to answer.
Yes.
This is a question about when a child is able to write from a motor aspect, so they have that ability to write, but they lack the regulation or arousal level to do so. What can help in terms of assistive technology?
Yes, so obviously one could be that even if there is an occupational therapist involved and or was previously involved and has given recommendation with regards to what we call sensory diet. So it could be a sensory diet of like could be movement breaks or other accommodations that are what we call sensory motor accommodations that will help that child to maintain arousal. So it could be that they need some breaks in between the writing, or before the writing they would need some motor exercises that will help then to organize that child, and then they would be able to then work and focus more. But sometimes you would do that and you still sometimes will find that even by offering even if they write and then motor wise, but we present it on a keyboard with use of keyboard or a software, like for example Clicker, or a software, another software, another literacy based software like we mentioned, it will help them to focus. It will be more interactive for them. Even this using text to speech, sometimes it helps them to maintain that focus, because sometimes it would be even the action of putting those, like having the thoughts and then put them on the writing, it would be so difficult for them that they will become dysregulated. So sometimes giving the assistive technology, like the organizational tools that we spoke about, will help these students to maintain their attention as well. Okay, so you are muted, May.
So Sharon, another question I think that I'm going to put to you straight away is about Adobe Fill and whether that can be used on a laptop.
So Adobe Fill, no, you can't use it on, it's for iOS, but as Jamie has mentioned, there is the PDF annotator that can be used, and there is also PDF elements. I will type them down in the, so that for everybody to see them as well. And there is also Microsoft on the Microsoft 365. They have the real PDF editor that can be utilized. I am still, to be honest, experimenting with them as well. So because there is like this, I would like to say it as well. We are talking about these tools that are available. We will be uploading up this recording as well, but probably we need to change this recording in a year's time, or we update it, because this is a fast changing field. So new things come out. We are always testing things. So if you have any questions, feel free to call us or send us an email even in the future, because even ours, obviously as a team, it is our job that we test this kind of things, and also sometimes you test certain things because you have a client that they came with a specific question. But yes, the ones that I mentioned, the PDF annotator, PDF element, and the real PDF editor on the Microsoft 365 are available on Windows platform. I want also to say about the Microsoft 365, if we have educators listening to us, and even parents and students, if you have an email, if you attend mainstream schooling and you have the iLearn email, using that iLearn email, you can, and the password, you can log in Microsoft 365. So even this makes it easier, even if you are doing a document, to be shared then, because it is shared on a OneDrive, and you can share it with your teacher or with your LSC, or vice versa, from school to home, especially at this moment of online learning as well. But not only for online, in the future, even in the coming months when school starts again, this is something we recommend a lot for children who find writing difficult or tiring. And so even having their notes in a soft copy, it is important. And the use of Microsoft 365, which is available to us, it is useful to share documents and also to use the specific features in it, including Real PDF Editor, Immersive Reader, and the dictation that we mentioned in this presentation. And I believe that even some church schools and even independent schools have access to this SharePoint on Microsoft 365. So check with your school, with your inclusive coordinators as well, to help you about that. Okay, I think, I don't know if there is any other questions.
No, Sharon, thank you.
Okay,
but there are other questions that other people on the panel are going to answer.
Yes.
The next one is going to be Jamie. I'm just going to put you in. Okay, Jamie, just going to ask you a question from Sandra. She's asking about whether they will be provided with the Clicker software. Of course, we don't know what profession Sandra is, but she also said that she used it in the past and found it very useful.
May, what's the question? I didn't understand.
The question is whether they're going to be provided with Clicker software.
Maybe I can answer this one, May. Clicker software is available for all parents and schools. However, parents should have received a license, a Clicker license. They should have received this by post. And with regards to schools, licenses should be available for all students as well. But I encourage parents to speak to the schools for more information. And as regards to professionals, the software unfortunately is not available, but you can always download the free trial, and I believe that's available for 30 days. So you'll be able to try out the trial for 30 days. And obviously parents and schools should have the licenses available for free.
Okay, thank you. I hope that answers. Whoops. I hope that answers your question, Sandra. I am actually going to put Jamie back online because she's going to answer another question, and I think I messed up and gave her the wrong one. Right. Okay, Jamie, the question that you were going to answer was the one about software which is sensitive for students who have dysarthria, dyspraxia, or phonological disorders. So here I think we're talking about speech recognition software.
Okay, so this is a very good question actually, and I like it when the audience ask these type of questions. It means they are considering technology in their therapy. So it's a very good question. Most of the apps that or the softwares that we mentioned today are customizable. So that's one very important feature that we look at when it comes to recommending these type of softwares, is that they are fully customizable, because obviously one student's needs is not the same as the needs of another student. This I guess this depends on matching, I think, the feature of which one software offers versus matching it with the needs of that particular student. So I guess you'd have to see exactly what the child's needs are. For example, it depends on the severity of how the speech intelligibility of the child, because obviously, as probably you're aware, not all softwares are very sensitive to all speech. But I think if I had to recommend one particular software, it probably the Dragon would be the best one to go for. When it comes to speech recognition, this we're talking about. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't offer a free trial. So I think trialing here is very important before you actually purchase a particular software online. So many times these softwares cost money. But if you're looking maybe for something free for just to try it out, there's the word queue. So maybe I would start off with this and test out how speech recognition works with this particular student. Trialing is also very important because of our Maltese accent. So as you may know, we all have a very Maltese accent, obviously. So this would have to be taken into consideration when it comes to speech recognition. Maybe apart from the word queue, maybe other things that could be used are things which are free and just very ready available to everyone, which is the dictation in Microsoft, which Sharon showed earlier, and even things like Siri, for instance, and the voice recognition in Google. So I think I would maybe start off with trialing these things. See how the child or how the student, whoever the client, responds to it, and then maybe move on to other things, maybe which are a bit more sophisticated and you'd have to pay for them. I hope this answers the question.
Thank you, Jamie, for that very informative answer. All the questions that have been asked, I think, have been answered at this point in time. I just wanted to say thank you so much for attending. We provided you with an overview of all the assistive technology tools that are out there right now that can support literacy. As Sharon said, this is a very fast moving area, and what is available right now might be something that would change in a matter of months. Another thing I wanted to say is that sometimes you may find that some software or apps are available on one platform, but they're also available on other platforms too. So, for example, you might find Evernote or OneNote on your Windows 365, but you might also find it available as an app on your iPad or on Android. So it's worth looking. Some of these are transferable, some are not as transferable. We encourage you to actually try these things out yourselves. If you have a child who has some issues with literacy, you may be able to arrive at a solution using these free solutions that are already out there, just from experimenting a little bit. But you might have some children that you think to yourself, I really need to get some expert help, in which situation you should contact ACTU. We are here to do that. It could be also that your child is attending speech language therapy or OTs, and you can talk to them first and see if they feel that a specialist referral should be made to a team like ours. But we are available. Jamie gave you our email earlier. You can also find us on the Agency Support website, and you can always call us and we can give you some advice or see what the steps are on the phone. Another thing is we are going to be organising some more webinars. On the 1st of July, we are partnering with Crick Software to provide an overview of Clicker 7. And on the 3rd of July, there will be another one on Clicker 8, also with Crick Software. For you to know, most of you, if you are an LSC or a parent of a child, the schools are providing you with Clicker 7. So that would be probably the best one for you to attend. But Clicker 8 is going to be coming out. It's already available, but it might not be available in schools yet. So if you're interested to see what's going to happen with Clicker down the line, please come along to the 3rd of July as well. For those of you who are working with children who are using augmentative and alternative communication devices, we have our second webinar in that series on the 8th of July. All of our webinars are also advertised on the Agencia Support Facebook page, and you can see them there, but they might not be there yet. They tend to be put up about a week beforehand, so you should be able to do that to see the links there. Please tell everyone else or other people that you know who might be interested about our webinars. We're happy to host them. And if you are interested in us tackling a more specific area in more detail, we plan to do that at some point as well. We also are planning to address in more depth some more literacy issues. because today was a quick overview of many different areas, and we have lots more to say about some of those areas. We're also hoping to cover for you something on literacy for children who do not speak, and that will be coming down in the line as well. So thank you very much for joining us. I just want to show you the slide with our details here. So this is our phone number and our email. If you want to email us, please feel free to do so. If you want to phone us, we're on that number. And even though we're sending you this, most of us are at home. I think Martina was at Silk, where we operate from. There's always someone there to take a call. So please feel free to call. Thank you very much for attending. Goodbye.